Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Root Beer. Matt
And
has the COVID.
I feel like we didn't have to throw him under the bus that quickly, did we? That it's shameful to get it, necessarily.
It is pretty noticeable that he's not here.
Yes, but also, he's like, I don't even know how I got it. I live like a hermit, his words.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's not feeling so hot. I think he's all right, but just needs to get some sleep and stuff. So, today we're not drinking. I wish I could be drinking. Drinking would be nice. We're talking about cards that have somehow avoided a reprint all this time. Like, as far as reprints go, Bushiroad is better than most, as opposed to something like Yu-Gi-Oh!
I would disagree at this point.
Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does this thing where whenever they have reprints, 9 times out of 10, it's because they're going to hit it on the ban list. So they're like, here, all the commoners may have this this copy of Forbidden Droplet, and it's at 1 on the ban list.
I mean, like, they're, like, decently good about reprinting important cards in, like, structure decks and things like that.
Yeah, but not always. Usually it's, like, the chase cards that end up...
yeah, but also, like, Yu-Gi-Oh's pretty good about reprinting, like, important archetype support.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about, like, game-wide staples, but...
But Vanguard is a little different in that regard because, like, there are no game-wide... There are some, and I will talk about them as we discuss this. But I do think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is overall a little better at reprinting, like, important things.
I don't know if I agree with that, but that doesn't matter now. I have a bunch of cards that have avoided a reprint somehow throughout all this time, and I'm going to do it kind of like a set review, but like way shorter.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep, and this is completely out of order, so this isn't like, fucking going from set 1 to set 13. How about this then? The X, the end, all that good stuff. I'm not counting things as a reprint like the Vanguard Koshian set from that wasn't Springfest, it was Card Fight Con,
okay,
maybe?
That's the Legion version. Maybe? When was it? Okay, yeah, so the Cross is decently expensive.
Alright, let's see what we're looking at right now on TCG Player at the time of recording this, if someone's listening to this far into the future.
The VR version specifically is $12 right now.
It's $12. Mm-hmm. I like how I search the X and it just shows me the end. Guys, god damn it, no.
Yeah, this one's like decently expensive.
It's about
Dote.
It's about $12, and then Dote is the V series Dote is it's $35.
Yeah, I feel like that one needs a reprint more than this, honestly.
It was on the list later. Fine. Yeah. Both the X and the End need a reprint, and I don't know, when you're Overlord.clan, it's kind of hard not to justify it. Now, Bushiroad did make a point of saying, we're not reprinting VRs.
Yeah, which
reasons
is dumb. And you'll notice that, like, half the cards on this list are just VRs because they're printing a whole bunch of archetype support that requires a specific card from the archetype, and they're not reprinting any of those cards.
Yep.
And so all these cards are, like, $30 now.
Mm-hmm. And the worst part, it's like, even if it's completely ancillary, like you only need one or something, it's still a pain in the ass to try and go find this thing, especially when they reveal the new support card and everything gets bought out, and people are like...
Yeah. It is, like, the dumbest thing. And, like, this is where I would say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is better, because, when Yu-Gi-Oh! Prints, like, a new structure deck or something for like, an old archetype, they usually include, like, some staple cards or cards that they think would be important for that archetype. Yeah. Not always, but, like, I feel like, generally speaking, they're pretty good about reprinting, like, legacy support cards, even if that is just, like, making a higher rarity version in some way. And because of this VR reprint policy, like, that's just not happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have an entire clan selection that is a majority archetype support for, like, legacy cards. And some of these cards have been expensive for a long time. They're from, like, years old sets, and they're still not being reprinted. Like, Himiko was... when did Himiko come out?
Himiko came out, Answer of Truth was... Let's see. I feel like this is kind of a prequel episode to whatever that set review is when we get to Clan Selection 3 and 4, or I guess talk about it.
Yeah.
Answer
that came out
of
in
Truth.
2018, 2019 for us. So yeah, this is like a 3-year-old set now, and they're like not reprinting this card. Who still has this set? Who is buying this set? Like,
who stocks this set?
I know, like, the VR reprint policy was, Bushiroad trying to save face with shop owners because they kind of fucked it up in V, but like, some of these are just ridiculous. Like, who still has this set? And same thing for like OG Maelstrom. That was that was like the second set of V.
That's here too.
Yeah, that is a 3.5-year-old set, and that's still like not being reprinted. Why?
I don't know. I mean, like, there was the guy in, what was it, in BRO V Premium that won with Glory. He had to use this, and they are... How much are they right now?
That card's... Well, it's bought out, so it's $50 now, but that card's been $30 for its entire existence, basically.
So much vomit.
Like, the SVR is cheaper than the regular VR at times.
That's crazy to me.
Like, this card has never been cheap and is in desperate need of a reprint because they've given it like 3. I think we're on our 4th wave of archetype support now with reverse.
Yeah.
Because they had like Glory, which needed this in Soul, and then they printed a new set of Maelstrom support to support the original one, and now we're getting reverse. So we're on like our 4th wave of Maelstrom support, and it's never been reprinted.
Yeah. Another good example for something like this is, where you at in my list of things? There you are. Good old Luthier. So, Venus Luthier, which is, supposed to work with this thing, came out in the same set, both of which have not been reprinted, except for, like, some high rarity thing, I think. And then now you have Luthier Reverse, who specifically needs a Luthier Vanguard to function. So it's not like you can go, oh, I'm just going to run Luthier Reverse and that'll be fine. I need to, just run a bunch of other grade 3s that don't do stuff. You need at least, like, even if it's just running Venus, that's something like, I'm going to read the effect just because, why not?
Yeah. Like, so, again, another set that's over 2 years old.
Yeah, so the effect is, grade 3, 12k XL marker. Act on Vanguard or in Soul. Once per turn, if you have a Vanguard with Luthier in its card name, you can counterblast 1, lock 3 of your rear guards with different grades. If it's on Vanguard Circle, you choose up to 3 cards with Silverthorn in their card names and different grades from your Soul column to rear. And then if it's in your Soul, you ride it as stand. And then also, if you rode it from Soul, you can use it again on Vanguard Circle. It's very...
Yeah. And then for reference, base Luthier is $33. Venus Luthier is $20.
I have a bunch of base Luthiers in my trade binder. Anybody wants them, I will not sell them for 33. Not even close. Not sure how that would go down. The other effect is, like, if your Vanguard's grade 3 is, or if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, all your front row get 3k for each of your locked cards all the time, which is really funny to me. You're like, all right, gonna be, let's see if you have your background locked. Gonna be a 21k base. Looking good, fellas. Yeah, Luthier is, I think, one of the more prime examples, just because she has not 1 but 2 like iterations of her. Maelstrom is another good example.
Yeah, like I said, 4 waves of support, never been reprinted.
So yeah, plus you have a whole archetype named after you. Come on, that's ridiculous.
Like, again, we've said this before, but this episode is really just going to be us iterating just how like stupid the VR reprint policy is.
Here's another fun one based off of the Lukier Maelstrom thing. Da da da.
All of the Ezels.
Different Ezels, yeah. Because Platinum Ezel just copies whatever Ezels you have in Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even.
Ironically, like I think Platinum Ezel is like the cheapest one.
I think it might be, yeah.
The original Blonde Ezel is $34 because it's bought out.
Ravenhair Ezel is about $20, 1978, and then Platina Ezel,
like $11, which is not terrible. And you know they just released Grand Ezel as part of the new wave of support.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I keep forgetting, especially for Gold Paladin, just how hard it is to get into a clan like that. Mm-hmm. Hanging out with a guy like Richard from the Nexus Core channel, that guy, he has played Gold Paladin since like Boomer Vanguard, and he doesn't really give away any of his cards. He always just keeps them around for the next potential wave of stuff. So whenever something like Scissors V-Series comes out, he's like, oh, cool, I can use all my old Ezels. But if there's someone out there who's just like, shit, I want to play Ezel Scissors, I got to buy that and all the other VRs that I don't have.
Yeah. Like, this most recent set really, like, puts into perspective just how terrible this policy is. Of, like, we're going to support these, like, years-old cards from sets that are no longer in production, that shops are unlikely to have very much stock of, and we're just not reprinting them.
I think if you do find one, it's going to be one of those things just like, oh yeah, I forgot to clean out the stock room. If you want to take a look back there, you find one. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Another great example is Golden Beast Tamer because of the random Beast Tamer support that got released. It didn't really spike it all that much, but it was just one of those things like, why? Why do I gotta go find that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I still have all my like first wave V-Series stuff. Because that's when I bothered to like buy V-Series stuff.
I managed to have a playset of this in my trade binder because nobody wanted it for the entire time, and I was like, but it's a VR. They're like, but it's terrible. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like terrible old card.
For its premium application, we have this dude.
Yeah, Death Anchor. So yeah, this one has not gotten archetype support, but it is just like generally a good card that you think would have been reprinted by now, but hasn't.
Yeah, especially because it's kind of it's like DI's lifeline for relevance after the Gastille hit, where it became this thing where you could use it and Barra Magnus in a deck. Like, that's fine. And then No Life King Death Anchor is
$15, which is
not bad, but still kind of a lot.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, it is just, this one is, I think, a case of like, this is just an old card that's probably like a little harder to find and kind of just gatekeeps people who were maybe interested in dark irregulars for like premium or even V stuff. Because this card is still like relevant. It's just a restand. Yeah.
And it's it only gets better the more like good vanguards you have in dark irregulars or dark states. By that logic. Dan Tyrion also gets something like that where it has such a good ability defensively that you can use all of DI's like strides and rear guards to make something of it.
Yeah. Although that card is not expensive at all.
Perhaps not, but it is still dodged a
you know, principle, like making cards easier to find is generally nice.
This is another interesting one. Whether or not you're running Mordred Phantom Masquerade is still like it's a VR and a grade 2. I find it funny that Gansalot just ended up not really becoming important, and Mordred stuck around for as long as it has.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Masquerade is just randomly like $30.
Are you freaking serious right now?
Yeah, like lowest one is $25 with like $2.50 shipping, and lightly played is like 28.
Has that ever been a problem before?
Hmm?
Like, okay, so when something says lightly played, it makes it sound like some guy doing lightly played, and then it shows up in like a crumple in an envelope. You're like, what are you doing? I just have that fear whenever it says lightly played.
Yeah, that's my concern too. But yeah, this card is like not a lot of listings and super expensive. So
yeah, Mordred Phantom meanwhile is a little less than $30.
yeah,
So yeah, sorry, Blaster Dark fans, and also with it, how's Luard doing for?
let's see.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
So what's funny is that there have been several, iterations of Luard in Vanguard.
Yeah,
And-
Luard is not super expensive. It's like $11, $12. Goes up to at the lowest end, goes up to like 20. On the higher ends, it's not terribly overpriced, but I can see it being like more annoying to get than you would want.
Mm-hmm. Even then, Dried Fall Luard and Dried Heart, the stride bonus, are kind of annoyingly expensive for what they are. Like Dried Heart Luard is about the trial
Dragfall isn't expensive.
Oh, it isn't? How much is it?
It's like $1.
Oh, good for them. Drag Heart Luard from the trial deck. Let me say that again. The trial deck.
Also, Dragfall did get reprinted.
Oh, it did?
Yes. That's why it's $1, is because there's a revival selection version.
Well, that's good. Drag Heart Luard, on the other hand, the trial deck one, $8.
Yeah, okay, that one. That one is justified.
Up. Yeah.
Like
I lumped it in when I didn't mean it to. Sorry. There's what, 3 variants of Luard in Premium? You have Fall, Heart, and Heart.
And then the
V.
Drag Driver V.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drag Driver I think is not super expensive. It's like $6. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's not
terrible. Same with like Drag Heart Luard and Drag Driver Luard V series on both.
Mm-hmm.
Being what they are is kind of okay. A trial deck boss being $8 is not.
Yeah. Also, like they're more recent, so I can see them being like a little more reluctant to
reprint them. Yeah, I think as time goes on, they might be forced to. But
yeah, but really, like we really do need like a VR reprint set because like some of these is just ridiculous. Which is Cecilia now?
You mean like this? Night Rose?
Is Night Rose that expensive? I haven't been paying attention. Oh yeah. VR Cecilia is also like $20-$30 because it's bought out.
Of course. Well, because
because reverse.
Right. And then Night Rose. Excuse me. That's not the right Night Rose. I don't want the Stride Night Rose. Damn it! No.
Yeah, Night Rose is $30.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, that my friend Madison was building Grand Blue, and he ended up having to do the ghosty version of the deck, which is cheaper because you run more Beatrice because of how expensive Night Rose is.
Yeah,
which sucks. Although he ended up just like getting one, and he's like, "It's fine, I can search it out, ride it. It's totally cool." Thanks to the boat.
Yeah, again, that one's more like recent. That was only last year, but still.
Mm-hmm. Vanquisher is another kind of recent example.
Vanquisher's not that recent. It's pretty old now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, because that was like middle V, so that would have been like over a year ago now.
Okay. God, everything's just so...
But that card... See, that's the thing, is Dragonic Vanquisher came out expensive and stayed expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was March 2020, so that was like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that one
almost 2 years ago. That's
yeah.
Yeah. As low as 35.
That's right. It's 2020. It's 22. It's 2022 now. So yeah, it's almost 2 years. So yeah, I think Vanquisher definitely deserves a reprint. That one was like, it came out expensive, stayed expensive its entire life, got like a second wave of support, which is kind of helpful because full Bronto copies the original name, but like Full Bronto also isn't as good.
It's kind of a like band-aid solution.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is the original Vanquisher just gives you 10k all the time. If 3 or more were total were bound, then you get the plus 10k all the time. Where Full Bronto has to be placed.
Yeah.
So, like Full Bronto is worse, and Vanquisher has been a $35 card forever.
And then Stunverse, just like.
Yeah, I feel like they're like Strides. They're probably more willing to reprint. Like,
yeah, I think maybe in about a year or so, you can probably reprint some of those Strides that have like Stunverse.
They're making a new like Stride collection, so I wouldn't be surprised if they reprint some of the like older clan selection Strides. I feel like that's more plausible, but the fact that they have a policy against printing VRs is like, really?
Yeah. I think if they're going to, redo some of the older Strides, they shouldn't do like all of the things from this one set. It should be like, this clan needs this one reprinted.
Yeah.
Crystal Luster and Chain Ranker, sure, great. But, maybe Tachikaze wants Neberos reprinted instead.
Honestly, like, they should just be matching their reprints with what's being supported, because it's like, alright, we're making all these, like, reverse units that need certain archetype cards to function. Let's reprint the cards that they need.
Yeah. I have 2 left on my list here, I think. I don't think I missed any others. No, I think so. All right, so first one here, someone else told me this. Hand in Hand Leona.
Really?
They say that like it just needs to be reprinted. G cards in general don't really get reprints for the most part.
Yeah, like, oh god, this card's like $15. What the fuck?
Oh wow. I mean, granted, I don't think you need 4 of them, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see it because like it does bounce something during your opponent's battle phase. I can see that being helpful.
And then also gets like shield from it, which is cool.
Only if you call back something with the same name. But like,
yeah,
I can see it being important for like utility plays. But wow, I didn't know this card was $15. Like, I have all the copies I need of this card, but damn, I didn't realize.
Is it like a 2 of or 1 or 2 of?
Yeah, I feel like it might be like one of the default G guards, just because the old like plus 5k doesn't really matter.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna guard with my front trigger that gets 5k
because like
shield.
Sandy is fuck huge if you can get the skill active. The other one gets like bigger shield, but you have to call something from your hand to rearguard circle, which can be annoying. Like Leona has the most utility out of the 3.
Got it. And then the last one, and the very reason that for doing this episode, Jewel Knight Sword Me. So,
this card is fucking expensive.
Yep,
because it's never been reprinted.
It's a promo, and Living Proof so graciously pointed out that Bushiroad doesn't really reprint promos all that often.
Yeah, like their way of handling promos is just like shove them in a main set, but this never got that treatment despite being like an important part of some major decks. So
I think
originally we had Sankar Jewel Knights, so Sword Meal is a very important part in that because it could search out your grade 1s for you. Like, it kind of lost relevance when Sankar Blaster became a thing, but then they started supporting Jewel Knights in V, and so people started hyping it up again for premium application because, just being able to find any grade 1 or less Jewel Knight is nice. And so this card is just like, well, always $30, and then like drop down to 18, and then they announced more Jewel Knight support, and now it doesn't exist again.
Yep, and it was like I think I saw one on eBay for 25, and then now that's gone too.
Yeah. Also, like the old Jewel Knight cards all randomly got bought out, so those are also stupid expensive for no reason.
Are any of those even good outside Sword Me, or?
I mean, the grade 2 and the grade 1 are both like pretty good, right? Like the grade 2, you can recycle cards and soul charge. That's nice, and it gets the power.
Okay.
And they all have like the break ride skill of like when your other unit is placed on top of it, it like gets power, or you can draw a card. Like
Okay.
the Jewel Knight engine is pretty interesting, and I like them. They're just like really expensive. Although that one just came out in like the previous clan selection, so I can understand them not immediately reprinting it. That's believable that this would still be like a thing, right?
I believe this card is older than this podcast.
Sword Me?
Possibly. I think. Like, it's close.
Yeah, I think because we really started going into the podcast around the time of like Sankguard Blaster being a thing, so that would yeah, Sword Me would predate when we really got into the podcast as we know it now.
So that's how you know it's been way too freaking long. And then it goes in these waves, right? Where like Jewel Knights will get some stuff, it becomes relevant again. Then it goes away. Yeah. Comes back again.
I guess the good news is like with the newer support that's being printed, Sword Me might be less relevant because I think one of the cards just lets you search out a Jewel Knight. So it's not like terribly terrible anymore. You could probably like say it's power crept, but it would be nice to have the option.
Definitely.
But
it's just so free. Play it, get something else. Cool. Great.
I'll find like the Jewel Knight support if I can.
This is completely random. About Jewel Knights, I always thought, I was surprised they didn't make them, I don't know, more jewel encrusted and like after gems, things like that. Like an emerald.
Oh, okay, no.
What's going on?
Sybil is when your other unit is placed on top of it. You can search top 3 for a grade 2 or less.
That's not the same. This is just
whoop,
get the thing you want. Cool. It's like running 4 extra copies of whatever grade 1 you want.
Yeah. No, yeah, so I can't say that Sword Me's been power crept yet for premium application.
Nope. And it definitely needs a freaking reprint.
Yep. And then this is a more broad strokes thing, but I think in general Bushiroad could do a better job of printing things like effect triggers and perfect guards. Yeah.
Do you mean like the D ones now, or just any?
Yeah. In general, they've never been good at that, but like the D ones definitely, because like these are just staple cards, right? Like you're just expected to play them if you're playing a certain way. And so the fact that this is not readily accessible just makes it harder for new players to get into the game, because I was trying to build Gravidia, which still haven't arrived, but that card's still $1, so I don't care. If it's not here by the end of the week, I'll buy new ones. But rant aside, I was looking at things like the over trigger and like the new crits and the new fronts, and they were all just stupidly expensive. They were all like $5, $6, $7, and I'm like, what the hell? And if you're a new player trying to get into the game, especially if you're like building off a TD where you only have 3 front triggers because of the over trigger, if you don't want to play Rainbow Trigger, and it's like this critical has an effect, maybe not the most relevant, but it has it compared to this one that doesn't have it. And it's like, like what's wrong with printing them like every other set, right? Let's say if you want to like preserve the value, then maybe hold off one set, give it some time to go through circulation, and then nobody is pulling your set specifically for a trigger. So it's like you're not really losing that much value by reprinting these rare cards that everyone needs. So I just don't see why they can't do that.
It's also something where like the little nickel and dime commons and rares that someone's got to draw them, someone's got to design them. It's a pain in the ass, I imagine. So just being able to throw a reprint there in the last few slots of the set.
Yeah. Also,
it seems like it saved you.
We can only run 8 of the other triggers now that aren't heals because of, trying to avoid the 12 crit problem. So there really only needs to be like 2 or 3 different artwork of a critical trigger in circulation.
Yeah.
Like you could argue like, okay, every other set they'll just print some random trigger for you to just have You know, in case a casual player who's new to the game just wants to have 8 of any trigger, it's easily accessible. But
Yeah.
then they need to make the effect triggers more accessible, and they need to make like the better PGs more accessible, because those are also all like $5-10 now, because they came out set 1, and it's been like 6 months since then.
What's
So
funny is
they're
that
all like bought
they're
out
all
now. They're all like bought
what's
out now and expensive.
yeah. What's also weird is that Bushiroad has shown a willingness to do this before. This is
Yeah.
not the original art of Dino Dial. Dino Dial used to be in a different set, and then they just randomly threw this in GBT10 because why not? It's
Yeah.
useful. It's a good card.
But it also took them a really long time to start doing that with like the Heart Thump clones.
It did, but it's still something, and I think because they've shown willingness to do it before, they should have willingness to do it again. Also, for God's sake, just throw Sword Me in there. It's not that
Also,
hard.
like, for PGs specifically, they lowered the rarity to R so that it's like easier to find, but they also aren't willing to reprint them, even though like as a lower rarity card, they're not really pushing sets anymore. Like that one, I could say maybe like every 2 or 3 sets, you like reprint the PGs just to make them available. Like, why not?
I think that might be harder with, the old clan system where, your thing gets support like once a year, like once every 4 or 5 sets.
Like
that.
But now, like the clan selection system for that's like easily solved. So, but for
There's
D
that, or
specifically, like nation cards, it can't be that hard to fit the PGs in there as a reprint every now and then.
Yeah, just throw them in there once a year or something. Be nice, especially because like those were so well designed as PGs. So like, oh, if you got 1 or less cards in hand, it's free. Take it. Say thank you. You're like, all right, cool. And then of course that doesn't usually come up in in premium, just because all of the old effect PGs were so good that people will just run that usually instead of.
Yeah. But like, with these like 1 card discard PGs, it's not always relevant, but it's still better than just a regular vanilla PG in most situations. So
yeah,
again, it's one of those cards where it's like kind of a no-brainer decision, and the fact that it's not more readily accessible for something that's basically required is like, why? Like that one, I don't really see the value perspective from like Bushiroad or shop owners. Like maybe as singles, but like I don't know.
I feel
like there are like again, there should be things like SPs and like the higher rarity boss units. It's weird that like a rare perfect guard is $5-10. Meanwhile, the triple R boss for your set, if it's really old, will be maybe around the same price, but for the more recent ones are like $1.
I don't know what to tell you. We're always going to find something to complain about here on Nexus at Night, because that's what we do, baby. But for everything else, I think like even if Bushiroad has done a good job in other aspects, this is just stuff that falls through the cracks, Hand in hand, Leona.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say about it. I'm also hungry, so I'm gonna go eat after this.
Orphis is now like $1. So yeah, like even never mind, because I was remembering Orphis when it first came out was like $5, $6, $7, $10, and now it's like $2. Yeah. So yeah, like all these like old boss units have all depreciated in value. Meanwhile, the PG is like $6 a pop.
That's
like
that's politics.
Like
baby.
that doesn't make sense to that doesn't really make sense to me. Like something that goes in every deck is like really hard to find and super expensive, and a boss unit that only works for like 1/3 of the nation is $2.
Which
kind of makes sense that's the demand part in action, but like balance the supply a little better maybe.
Yes, agreed.
Although I do feel like around set 5 they probably should be reprinting all of the like grade 3 units just as like courtesy.
Yeah, just assuming
assuming they don't like, unless nation cards are like a radical overhaul of the game's mechanic in the way that something like Legion or Stride is, like if they intend to continue supporting all these old boss cards, maybe like a courtesy reprint in set 5 would be nice.
That's why Sword Me hasn't gotten reprinted. Because it's part of a legion, and they want to pretend it doesn't exist anymore. That's my guess, anyway.
That is true. I mean, they did eventually print Crayon Tiger, didn't they?
Crayon Tiger wasn't part of a legion?
Yeah, it wasn't part of a legion, but it was this old card that we wanted a reprint for forever, and it didn't happen for ages.
Oh, because it was an Amber clone, and they're like, we've moved past that. They're like, sorry, we just haven't for some reason. It's just good in Great Nature. If you gave us more restanders, yeah, probably. But for now, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So
and then like some random card, like the old Title Assault is super expensive for no reason, or the V Series Title Assault is really expensive for no reason.
Yeah, that's another good example. I mean, you do have the alternative in the original Title Assault.
Yeah, but like for V specifically, I can see why.
Oh, right, yeah. That is a pain. I looked through so much stuff through a premium lens that stuff like that just kind of, the V series stuff tends to get thrown by the wayside. So yeah, to the listener, I asked, what's a card that hasn't gotten a reprint that you think should? Most obscure answer gets, I don't know, a thumbs
cookie.
up on a cookie, sure, a metaphorical cookie. You can tweet your answers to us at Nexus at Night on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. What?
We can view your internet browsing history and target ads at you.
Well, that's creepy as shit.
Cookie joke.
Oh yeah, I got you. Make sure to clear your cookies and not just your history, because otherwise it's going to pop up when you're searching things on Google. Anyway, Nexus at Night, Twitter and Instagram. Support the show. Patreon.com/Nexus at Night. You get a whole ass bonus show every week with me, Matt Root Beer, and sometimes a guest talking about whatever we feel like. You also have access to that entire backlog if you become a patron. Thanks to our $10 patrons, Darren, Cole, Josh, and Jeremy. Root Beer, where can they find you?
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse. I do art.
You can find Matt at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs, on Twitter.
We normally have him on screen for the people who watch on YouTube, but that's not here this week.
But did we just want to have him there, like, in a blanket and whatever?
No. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, normally we have the name Wiggums with 2Gs, 2Zs on there.
Right, but it's because he's there. Like, it's not...
Anyway. I'm just...
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. You can find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow my other podcast, Generation Dan, on Twitter. It's Gen X, Y, and Z, talking about stuff. Coming up this week, we have an episode called The Generation Games, which is our Zoomer host quizzes me and Dino the Genetic Marvel, our Gen X host, about stuff that we should know, and we don't. Like, are Tide Pods a snack? Find out on Thursday. And thanks, everybody, for listening. And until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Root Beer.
And Matt is somewhere. And have a good night, everybody.
I'm